Hola, ¿cómo están? This is Edgar OtraVez. Bienvenidos a otro episodio of the Flow Roll Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Flow Roll Podcast. Yo soy Edgar OtraVez. I am Edgar OtraVez, your host. And today on the show, we're going to be mixing it all up, man. We're going to make a mess of this today. All that noise I'm making right now, it's a little Spanish right there, man. I'm sending out some Spanish. I can speak 2 languages very badly. Now, before we get into all that, let me remind you that we have a lovely website that you can find at theflowrollpodcast.com. There you'll find a complete catalog of all our episodes and a store where you can purchase some wall art, maybe get yourself a t-shirt, maybe get yourself a mug, etc. Also, I am proud to say that we are affiliated with Bluehost. If you're looking to make your own website, Bluehost is the way to go. It's the hosting service that I use for the Flow Roll Podcast and never had a problem. Very dependable. I highly recommend them. If you run over to Bluehost, make sure you use my referral link in the description. Also now, if you like this nonsense and you want to hear more, you can find us on Instagram under the name The Flow Roll. Now, I'm going to explain why we're spitting some Spanish and English all together there today, because on today's episode, I have my good friend Tony Anaya, the scholar and metalwork artist. He is an educator, but also a man who creates art. Very cultured gentleman, and the perfect person to help me with this particular task, because today we will be doing Dichos y Refranes. Now, Dichos y Refranes are usually very poetic. Sometimes they have a hidden meaning that imparts a piece of wisdom. Some of these phrases are very old and impart wisdom that still holds true today. And we're going to be doing them in Spanish. So, of course, we're going to be speaking English for the most part, but we will be translating for our multi-language impaired audience. Yeah, so me and Tony, we had a good time breaking these apart. Hope you enjoy them. Now on with the show. So, welcome to another episode of the Flow Roll Podcast. I am Edgar OtraVez. And today on the show, I have my friend back, Tony Anaya, the metalworker, artist, and a scholar, right?
Yes,
Teacher, yeah. Yes.
For years and years.
For years.
20, almost 20.
And then you were a principal for a little bit.
Principal for about altogether five years.
Principal or vice principal? Assistant principal. Okay. All right. So, which is perfect for today's episode, because today we're doing Dichos y Refranes, right?
Yes.
So, fair warning, dudes, my Spanish ain't the best. But I got Tony here to make sure that
I got you.
Make sure I say this shit right.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, it's all language is like that. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter, it's the way you use it. And, in different parts of, the Americas, you see people speaking this, Spanish, Spanglish, or whatever.
Spanglish, parquear, and all that shit.
Yeah, all that weird stuff, but yeah.
Chance.
Yeah,
all those funny words that people make up. So this is going to be a little bit of a Spanglish podcast. So, So just feel free to talk however you want to talk. You don't have to necessarily speak in English.
Ask you that.
Yeah.
We just do all English, all Spanish, but then you would take away from the juice, from the meaning, if you don't use and explain it in the native language that it was written, right?
Dude, go for it, man. Do whatever you think is comfortable. Yeah. I'm just gonna speak how I feel comfortable. If you feel Spanish is the way to go for certain things, go for it. I'm just gonna respond as best as I can.
Yeah.
The problem with me is that my parents, when I was a kid, they were like, "Are you gonna speak Spanish? Or are you gonna speak English?" Because I would mix them.
Oh, I see.
And they're like, "You can speak Spanish, or you can speak English." And I'm like, "Well, fuck it then. I guess I'll speak English, right?"
Yeah.
And then I didn't do any of that, right? So you don't have the
froze there.
I froze in English, right?
That's actually very common, and we could talk about this hours regarding education. But it's called language acquisition when you're acquiring. There's something called the affective filter. So what it is you have to be in the most relaxed state in order for you to start developing English or Spanish, right?
Yeah.
But if you get roadblocks like you can't do it like this, or you can't do it like that, and that kind of
hinders
you when it rise, so you won't develop it. And I've seen it with other people. I've seen it with even my own uncles. With my own family, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, ¿vas a hablar inglés o vas a hablar español?
I'm going to speak
one.
Yeah.
And explain it. And no, wait. But then when I got old, and it kind of got me upset when I was a kid. I was 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk like I want to talk because I want to express it the way that I want to.
Yeah.
But I kind of knew there was something wrong with that.
Yeah.
And eventually, as we know from the studies that were done, and there's tons of research that say that.
Yeah.
It says you have to allow the child to slowly, be able to acquire the language, and that's where the teachers come in and they plug in certain activities. They use total physical response, which means you use hand gestures. Like you're in pre-K and kindergarten, they have you do certain things with your hands, and you use motion because the more senses you use, the more you develop, and you're able to tap and expand that language.
That's interesting, man, because I mean, Latin people, Italians especially, they like to speak with their hands, right? So what is that part of that? Like,
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously a cultural thing, right? Depending on that area. But if the more things you get involved with your body, like they say, people that are successful, very successful, they're always moving ahead, like doing step by step. So you're talking about people that, if you want to acquire, if you want to say success is money, the people that are the wealthiest, obviously a lot of people, they got lucky, they got that might be part of it, but hard work is what makes it happen, and that's with anything. That's with the language. You're tricking a child to learn a new language, and you're also turning into, a playful event.
Okay.
And then little by little, you start to, like anything, you start getting better at it, and then you start developing. That's why when you immerse yourself in a language, like if you want to really learn a language, go to Germany.
Yes.
Go and go to that area and see, and it's kind of like sink or swim.
Yeah.
And that's how people, if you really want to learn a language, you have to connect it to the culture of the people, what they're doing, what they're eating, like everything goes all together. Yeah. And that gives you like a whole sense of what
you have to immerse yourself in the culture.
Yeah.
And it's very easy. It was interesting, at least, not to veer off topic, but it's interesting, at least for us, especially because Chicago has a significant Latino population, specifically in the areas we grew up in. There's a lot of Mexicans. So there was a little bit of cultural immersion, but it was really interesting because it's a subculture of the culture here in Chicago or the United States, right? So it's you have Spanish speakers that live their whole life in Chicago speaking Spanish.
Oh yeah.
With a little English here and there. Right. But they can pretty much go being illiterate in English their whole life and be fine.
Yes.
I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying it's possible.
No, it has happened. You are right about that, because it's simply my parents. My mother didn't really develop the language. We lived in Pilsen for years and years. And you go to the grocery store, and who are you talking to? The same Spanish speaking for the most part. The same community. Still uses the language. Yeah. And you really don't need the English, and that kind of stops the progress too sometimes. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because there's like Chicago, at least the Latino population here in Chicago, or the Mexican population specifically, they're from all over Mexico. They're not just like from Durango or from Tamaulipas or from wherever, the Efe, wherever. They're from all over. So you're not getting like one specific accent when it comes to not that Mexico really has a very specific accent, but you can tell. Oh, there is. Yeah, there is.
Oh, yes.
Yes, there is.
It's just like here.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to Tennessee, the language is still English, right? Yeah. But it has, that country draw.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if you go to northern Mexico. And this goes to all South America. So we're not just, we're expanding all the way down to Chile. You have a specific language that develops within those specific communities.
Yeah.
And then even smaller communities, say like Downers Grove compared to Chicago, you see that there's variations of the language too, and the way that people communicate. One thing that I saw is the way people say hi to each other here, which I found
in Spanish or in English in general.
Just in general with anybody within that lives. So we'll do it like this. In Downers Grove, right? So when I went to the park for the first time,
which is a suburb here in Chicago,
right, yes.
A suburb of Chicago.
Yes, there was people. People are super friendly here, and they say hi to you, and you find that too. The way they say hi to you, like this. So they raise their hand and they go like this.
Yeah.
And it's just weird, like When you're in the hood, you're like, hey.
Yeah, in the hood. Yeah, it's like,
how are you? Hey.
Yeah.
How are you? How's everything going? You know.
Yeah. Or even sometimes like.
Right.
You know.
And even go down to say like Mexico. When I was a kid, people call each other, you know, people that are within specific, I guess, economic brackets, if you will. Like I remember all the comerciantes, or people that work like the mercantile, you know, bodega stores.
Yeah.
They do this to each other, like this with their hand for, hey, buenos días, licenciado. ¿Cómo estamos hoy? And they use this gesture
the hand out.
The hand out, and then they kind of
but not waving with the hand palm out.
Like this.
The hand with the knuckles out.
Right.
That's interesting.
Specifically. And
yeah. Open hand, but.
Right. And they do it exactly the same thing. So I think that it just spreads, just like the language. Like you said, like you and I have the same type of, I guess, dialect in a sense, or like street talk, because we're from the same generation, right?
Yeah.
And if you see
but even your Spanish is a little different than mine.
I did live in Mexico for 5 or 6 years when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but I mean, yours is better developed. But aside from that, accent-wise too, yours is a little different. Because my mom is from Durango, and she has that. Oh, yeah, you see, you know what I'm talking about. So I do. Yeah. So chocolate is not chocolate, it's chocolate.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's like words like pues. Yeah. I say pos. Yeah. You know? And then there's other little things, but there's a and the and the
right. Huerco, ¿cómo está huerco? Huerco, we don't use that word huerco, but I think they
huerco, yeah,
huerco, like kind of like
it's like kid. Yeah, brat almost,
right?
Yeah,
and they don't use that in Michoacán. They use muchacho or chamaco.
Oh, chamaco. Okay.
I even heard escuincle.
Escuincle. Escuincle is a funny one, because I didn't hear that until I got to high school. I'm like, what the fuck? I got the sense of what it meant, but I was like, escuincle.
It's a little dog, though. It's like
it's a dog.
It is a little dog. It's like a hairless dog, and it's called an escuincle. But that's to make fun of little kids, you know?
Yeah, escuincle. So it's like a hairless little dog. Right. That's so bad.
Yeah, it's very bad. And that comes from the northern part of Mexico, like Durango, like... the first time I heard it, I must have been around 10 years old, and it was my padrino from baptism. So my godfather, he basically is from Zacatecas. Married my aunt, obviously from Michoacán. So he used that word, and I got a crack. I mean, I was a little kid, I was cracking. What's an escuincle? And it sounded so funny. Yeah. And then no, it just means little kid. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's almost a little mean. It sounds like it's a little mean, like you know. But especially when I've heard it, I've heard it like, oh, cabrón, escuincle, menso, whatever. You know, like they throw all these words. I'm like, man, you'd be mean, you know. But another thing that's kind of common that I didn't realize right away is like in Durango they do a lot of like they make the things smaller, or they make the thing bigger. Like so, like in Spanish you can add ito, or you know, and then you can make it small. So chiquitito. Right. It's never just chiquito. It's chiquititito.
Oh, even more.
Yeah. And I was just like, you know, and it was funny because I would say that, and I think it was a Spanish teacher who was like from Colombia or someplace, and she was like, oh, that's funny what you're doing there. And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, and I didn't realize not everybody speaks like that. Right. You know, and it's like I think another kind of thing. That's another little thing that's related to the Spanish in Durango. But it was funny because like my dad is also from the north. You know, I guess Tamaulipas is up there that way.
Yeah, close to the border.
Yeah,
it's a border. I think it's connected to Texas. The next over is, I mean, there's like 5 or 6 states, but I'm saying it's Tamaulipas. I think is close to Gulf of Mexico that way.
Yeah. It's a little closer to the water. Yeah, But yeah, like he speaks very similar to my mother, but I can't tell if it's because they've just been together for so long.
That happens too. Like the language morphs, like they're together. Yeah. Yeah. Or one might dominate the other two sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like my mother might have dominated the dialect in the house.
So your dad talks more like your mom because of the way she communicates,
or more like my dad was just kind of overpowered by the language my mom used. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He just spoke. Yeah. But nobody picked up the stuff that he said. Just what my my mother would say.
So
you know,
Mama wore the pants in the family. Then
maybe she just talked more. I think it's all it was.
which is good.
Oh, you know that makes sense. Yes, my dad was bilingual completely.
Oh, so he was bilingual.
Yeah, he could speak both English and Spanish perfectly. Oh, okay. So when I spoke with him, I would speak English with him. But like my mom, she only spoke Spanish.
She was Spanish dominant.
Yeah,
only just Spanish.
She spoke only Spanish, so that makes sense. Because then I learned my Spanish from her because she was the one who was speaking it.
That's good.
Okay,
that's good. Yeah.
So okay, that makes sense now. Okay, that's why my Spanish is so bad. You can blame my mother.
Well, you could always develop it. No, you could always
for sure.
You have the foundation. You know, it doesn't matter. You just have to use it. You have to immerse yourself, and you already have like the foundational pieces, and I'm sure you understand it more than you might speak it. I'm thinking.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and you could probably read it and understand it.
Yeah.
You know? And that just comes with time because language development, it's in pieces. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. You know, there's even, state tests to try to measure, you're supposed to be in, certain programs for 3 years and you exit. And if you could pass a test, you could it's basically telling you that you should be able to survive doing math, English, science, social studies using the English language. And there's, supports for that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting how, even in our culture, we start finding, throughout our life, even I think that's why you put the podcast together today for that certain things that adults would say, like dichos and refranes, to me it was fascinating because you would hear like your uncle or your abuelita or your aunt say it, and then they would explain to it, and you knew it was something meaningful. The way, oh wow, it kind of rhymes.
Yeah,
it's like a riddle. Or
exactly.
Something.
Yeah, it was like a riddle, or it had a hidden meaning.
Yeah.
And it was always like you did something, or something happened, or there's an example of something, and then boom, out comes el dicho, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I would ask my mom, just like, what are some of these? Like way back when, this is like, what are some of these? Like, can you tell me some of these dichos that you know? And she's like, I can't just pop them out. They only come out when the situation arises.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, how many do you know? And she's like, I don't know, hundreds,
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? So like I got to do stuff to see what comes out.
What kind of reaction? Well, let me tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is exactly like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it is, just as what I've read and what I've heard, they're trying to convey a message, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like if this, then that.
Yes.
Sort of thing. So if you focus your energy on doing something wrong, this happens, or I'm thinking there, throughout the years, hundreds of years, people make mistakes and you just pick, oh, so this means this. And then it's kind of a way for you to prevent or to, things from happening that are not good for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, it's wisdom handed down from the ages, right? And so a lot of these will have like, they'll have like religious kind of connotations. They'll have, like some of the blue collar kind of thing, farmer type messages in there. So like, like the grain in this and the grain in that, and then you get this, like you reap what you sow, for example,
exactly.
Is the kind of stuff that you would get. But one of the things I also notice is that there's a lot of it. It almost resembles to me a little bit of like the Tao Te Ching, where there's like a little bit of there's like a positive and negative, right? It's the Chinese, the yin and yang kind of deal, and it's like how come we didn't have like a Confucius or a or a Lao Tzu or somebody who sat down and wrote a book to all this, like a philosopher, and said, I'm going to collect all these things and make a philosophy book or something, because there's some of these are motivational.
Yeah.
Others are just, passing on wisdom.
Right.
But there's a lot of like, some of them are just funny, but like there's wisdom in this stuff. And it's just like, how come we don't have somebody who collected these and said, this is the book of whatever, of the positive and negative in Spanish,
Yeah.
But there isn't just that dichotomy either. There are just ones that are just one thing. It doesn't necessarily have to have a positive and a negative.
Right.
But there is a lot of what you're saying. There's like the setup, and then there's the wisdom, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could actually, I have a good one.
Okay, go for it. Let's go for it.
The only reason why is because I used it before you even mentioned that you were thinking about doing something like this.
Yes.
But I had used it what ended up happening, so I'll be super brief. You know, there's...
No. Go ahead. Expound.
There's this young... Yeah, we have just like an hour, but I'll...
Oh, okay, go for it.
But I'll like condense it. So there's a kid, about 23 years old. He basically is going through some, relationship problems. Right?
Okay.
So he's got this long distance relationship online with a girl that lives out in Texas. So I was like, dude. And he's telling me that, he's just having a hard time because he was thinking that she wasn't really respecting him in the sense that some of the things that they had experienced or problems that they had, she had brought up in a blog. So all these kids, I guess, are like, their friends like on a chat blogger or whatever. And he seemed, fairly upset. And I know the kid for maybe 2 years. Like, he'll go to the gym, you say hi to him, and we started talking one day. And I just could tell he was, like, he wasn't being himself. He seemed worried. So, I started talking to him, and he knows a little bit of Spanish. Probably a lot less than you. Okay. So like but he does understand it. And I even told him, look, dude, have you ever heard this before? So I said, Amor de lejos, amor de pendejos.
Amor de pendejos, yes.
So
I knew you were going to say that one.
I should have asked it.
I've heard this one, yeah.
So very simple. It was told to me while I was, I explained this to him. Look, dude, these are the problems with long distance relationships. With everybody knows the distance is everything. You don't get to see each other. I mean, I don't know how it is now. And for all those people that have long distance relationships, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad. Good power to you. But you're talking about a 23-year-old, that's having already all these problems with this young girl that he's telling me that his ex-boyfriend is in the same chat box, and that the girl is telling the boyfriend now, my buddy, hey, I don't want you to talk to my ex-boyfriend, but I still want to talk to him. Like what? They're like, dude, you just did yourself a favor. That finally he ended up saying that he was gonna consider leaving her, and then finally I guess he did. And I felt a little guilty about it, like, hey, dude, with the little information that you gave me, I just gave you a suggestion. Amor de lejos, amor de pendejos. So that was the first one that I thought was. So I had to explain to him, amor de lejos, far away. And pendejo.
Pendejo.
That means that
everybody knows what pendejo. Even white people know what pendejo means.
Right. So I was like, just don't take it the wrong way. But I just told him, look, dude, it's just hard, and especially if you're already having problems with this girl. And it's interesting. The reason why I wanted to do that first one was because I had used it, and it was, I guess like 2 weeks after you told me that you wanted to do this. I'm like, okay.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Growing up too, like, I had like long distance relationships, and that had like because I mean, you're Latin, you run into girls. Some girls go to Mexico, they come back, whatever. At least in my scenario, I'm pretty sure. 1 out of 5 guys had that experience, had a girl that lived in Mexico while they were living here. And that's a popular saying, I think in our experience, only because that scenario is very, very possible in our experience, right? Because you have a Mexican community, and a lot of these people kind of travel back and forth between those communities. And love, amor de lejos, love from afar, amor de pendejos, the love of dummies, which is what you're saying. Like, you're saying, like, it's a very difficult situation. You live far. It's probably not going to work out. It's going to be very, 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 very hard. So, but love makes you do stupid shit. So I have.
So you have to. So are you gonna tell me one, and then I'm gonna try to figure out what it means?
We're gonna go back and forth.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but I already knew.
I already ruined this one for you.
No. It's cool because I know this one. I knew, and
because you went through it too.
Exactly, man. I had a dude just
and
like
I went
you.
Through it too. I mean, that's why too. So
So, I think I gave you this one over the phone. Tanto quiso el diablo a su hijo hasta que le sacó un ojo.
I don't think you gave me that one.
Okay. Tanto quiso el diablo a su hijo que le sacó un ojo. Que le sacó un ojo. Which means in English, the devil loved his child so much that he took out his eye.
Yeah. Now that, I mean...
That's difficult.
That's a difficult one, but it's got to be maybe that you don't sometimes let somebody progress and you hold somebody back. It has to do with holding somebody back, I think, or giving something, taking away from something that's growing or something. I don't know.
So you're close. You're close because it's about parenthood.
Yeah.
Okay. So because the obviously the devil is the parent in this situation, right? Yeah. But the devil is the devil. He doesn't know how to be good, right? He only knows how to be bad. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, he loves his son so much that he does bad to him because that's what he knows. That's what he's best at.
Man, that sounds just like me, dude. But my kid, don't do that. Stay away from that.
So I think, the way I used it in the past, and I'm not 100% sure I used it correctly.
Yeah.
But for example, your mother gives you a glass of milk, right? And she does it because you said you're thirsty, and she's like, I got milk. Why don't you have some milk or whatever? Sí. You go drink the milk, and it's spoiled. That is how I used to use it. It was like, el diablo quiere tanto su hijo hasta que le sacó un ojo. You gave him bad milk, But in my research, I think I'm not 100% sure I was using it correctly. Because in my research, it means, what it stands for is bad parenting. So you love your kid so much, you give him everything. You spoil the kid. You let him get away with everything. And now he's grown up and he's become like a spoiled brat, Yeah. And gets him, and doesn't understand repercussions or whatever, whatever the results may be from overprotective parenting, I guess, or just bad parenting.
Right.
Because the devil in this case is not being neglectful. He's being present. He's just the devil,
Right.
He doesn't know what good is. So he's doing everything bad. Mm-hmm. But he's being attentive. The poor fucking guy.
Yeah.
He's trying his best, but he's a bad guy. So,
Yeah.
So that's I think how it's supposed to be used.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the way you interpret it, man, because you could actually make it fit your own, I guess, situation that's going to be positive. Yeah. Hopefully that's the whole purpose of these, right? To shed some light into some positivity.
Exactly.
Into like rethinking what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So, I got another one. It was very common. I don't know if you heard this one before. It's Camarón que se duerme se lo lleva la corriente.
No, I've never heard this one.
So that's probably like a regional thing because I remember being a kid hearing this one.
So el camarón.
Camarón, so shrimp that sleeps, the current takes it away.
Okay.
So camarón que se duerme se lo lleva la corriente. So, shrimp that, falls asleep,
gets taken by the ocean, by the current. So this is like, be present, don't fall asleep, be awake for stuff, stay like, do the thing, live life, do the thing that life demands of you, so that you don't get just taken away by whoever. Make decisions, I think is what it really. Stay awake, make decisions. I think
it's
something like that.
Yeah, you got it. It is that. I mean, it's camarón que se duerme. So people that are not aware, like if you don't jump on the opportunity, if you don't go ahead and push forward, life or whatever will take away anything or any kind of progress. So you have to always be working at getting better, just like I was talking about before, like baby steps, getting better, know, trying to, we were talking about earlier that I was like, man, last year, dude, I was at least 15 pounds lighter, and like I have to start making those steps. I have to start eating healthy again as much as I could. I have to try to, exercise, do my, daily routine that I do. And I forced myself to take my little puppy to the park, to go around at least 2 times.
There's a squinkle.
My little squinkle, my little puggle, Chewy. He's a good dog. So, I mean, that's basically it. You have to try to move ahead. So that's what that refrán is.
Yeah, don't let life just dictate for you.
Right, because it'll take over. Because life, as we know, will take over, regardless if you're present or not.
Yeah.
So make the best out of it and make sure that you're prepared to be moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That one's awesome. Yeah. I like this one. El perro que tiene dinero, le dicen Señor Perro.
I think that was fairly simple.
I think so, yeah.
It's just if you have...
so translated, El perro que tiene dinero, the dog that has money, le dicen Señor Perro. They call him Mr. Dog.
Yeah, so the top dog is the one that has money. Like it's like the person that has the most influence, that has the most, I guess, to give is going to be the person that's going to be respected. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way that I interpret that one.
Yeah, no, I like the top dog idea. Like
they call him Mr., right? So
they call him Mr. Dog.
Perro, know? So he's not just a dog. Because he's got money, because he's got influence. Now it also depends on what do you consider, it being power. Like if you're talking about influence, money, probably helps you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably, of course it does. If you have the opportunity to have money and to be able to build something, you have influence, right? So you're revered by the rest of, the
dog community.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. The dog community.
The way I took it was like perro, just in general, a perro, a dog, is in a lot of cultures is in some ways, look, in some situations, or how you would refer to a person, you don't call a person perro. It's a dog, right? It's like it's in some instances, it would be considered a lowly creature, right?
Yeah.
But
like derogatory or something. Like
so yeah, so yeah. I'm thinking the perspective of this particular one is just saying, like, even a dog with money, they'll call him Mr. Dog.
They'll still call you a dog.
They'll call you Mr. Dog.
Okay.
So like you may be a dog, but you got money, now you got influence. Yeah. Now you're Mr. Dog. And you're like, so like you may be a lowly creature, but if you got money, you got respect.
Yeah. Which is kind of true. So I've heard, not that I'm rich, but I've heard from like, I've heard people there's this Mexican lady that was in the movies in the 40s. I can't remember her name, but she was in the movies with Pedro Infante and she had like the big eyebrows. Man, I'm going to kick myself in the head. For all those people that are listening, like, man, they're probably saying the name out loud. So she was married to Pedro Infante.
Okay, I have no idea.
And she was like in her 80s, 90s, and they were interviewing her, and she said, does money make you bring happiness? Or emphasize, like, look, man, I'd rather be, so it doesn't. I said, I'd rather be depressed and have money than depressed and not have money. So of course it does help to have money. So maybe like that, so even though, so it adds value.
It does. Yeah, it's one of those kind of like, it's kind of like it's a little bit of a dark one.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, the dog in this respect, without the money, doesn't have respect.
Right.
Without the money, he's just a dog.
Right.
But even a dog with money will be respected.
Right.
So it's one of those sad truth kind of deals.
Yeah.
But it's like and it's also like, okay, so like one of the other issues with these is like just because someone said this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to kind of live your life to this, right? But I like to think that you give respect, you get respect, but you also got to command respect. You got to give yourself borders. Someone disrespects you, even though you respect them, they don't deserve your respect, right? So
I got a real good one.
Okay.
That goes connected to what you just said right now.
Go for it.
So that one's, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres.
Okay. So what
does that mean?
Dime con quién andas means tell me who you're with.
Yeah. And I'll tell you who you are.
And I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically it's like the English one, birds of a feather flock together kind of deal. But it's like,
exactly.
You tell me who you hang out with, I'll tell you who you are. You're like,
right.
It's like if you hang out with a bunch of assholes, you're an asshole.
A lot of people that I know, that one rings true, and especially where we grew up, right?
Yeah.
In certain areas, if you were hanging around with the wrong people, even though you weren't part of that group, they would put the nail on you, and they would, especially like, people that were involved like in gangs and things like that.
Yeah.
That's why we were always afraid, stay away, And I knew people in high school when I went, when I was in, especially when I moved from, going to Quigley, where we went to once they shut down and everything. I ended up in Cicero.
Yeah.
And I went to Mornese. So you're really careful with who you were around. I knew all the gangbangers and what's up, how you doing, what's up, like that, and that's it, and you just stood away. At least that's the way that so this one is, very that I could remember. Kind of like my mom, maybe. Like this one I did hear somewhat, and I understood it. Obviously it's very plain. So some are plain and straight, and they'll tell you just like this one. Dime con quién anda. So if you're hanging out with certain people, you're going to be tagged, and they're going to say you're going to be associated with those individuals, even though you're not part of that group. And how many people have gotten hurt and even killed because of association?
Dude, 100%. 100%. Everything you just said, like, that's my same experience. But like one of the things too, like I knew a guy, and I'm sure you got stories like this too. Dude liked to pretend he was a gangbanger. He liked to pretend he was part of the gang, or he would have that kind of facade and carry himself in that fashion.
You like the little ponytail and the little goatee.
He would like act a certain way and act tough and all that stuff, all that nonsense, right? So he was. But, he wasn't affiliated to anybody. But he knew everybody. He talked to them, But he just wouldn't do everything they did, He just wasn't part of that group. He had other... He was... I think what happened with this particular guy is... And he's young. He was young, so, like, that's part of it. You're trying to find who you are, your identity, etc. But he picked up this tough guy identity and picked up all these other things that are associated in the neighborhood for what being tough is, which is in our situation probably being a gangbanger. So then this guy was just hanging out, talking to some girls. Some dudes drove by, saw him because he's dressed a certain way, acting a certain way, and these guys start spouting nonsense at him, throwing signs, yelling at him. He approaches the car, throws his hands up like, what's up? Come and get it, right? They shot him.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And that's it. And he was not associated with anybody, but he would hang out with these guys, act like these guys, talk like these guys, and he got what these guys get.
Yes. That's sad. I know people like that. Also that have died that way. Not too long ago. Actually, not too long ago, and. A guy that where you would not see him. I mean, he did not dress that way.
Yeah.
He did not like those. Maybe because, as far as I've heard now, that you can't tell the difference now between who's in a gang or not, just because they dress.
Everybody dresses the same. Yeah.
Right. So this kid was, he was like in his 20s already. He was.
Yeah.
He was older, and he ended up just in the same kind of situation. Was not even. If you talk to this kid, man, you wouldn't even have. He was such a good kid, He was, and I heard, he was hanging around with the wrong people, but he did not, he just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And the same thing happened to him, And unfortunately, these are, like we said, these are sayings, dichos. They're for a certain, wave or a certain, hey, if this happens, like you're saying, positive, negative.
Yeah.
If you do this, this is going to happen. Or if you're ready to do this, good things are going to happen. Or, some kind of a, lesson to get from these sayings. Yeah,
for sure. Let me see what I got here.
I got all kinds.
I got a bunch of them. I like these. I didn't know these existed, but I came across them last night.
Yeah.
Un sabio dijo. So like wise man said. Yeah. I didn't know they did this in Spanish. Nos pasamos la vida esperando que pase algo. Y lo único que pasa es la vida. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, un sabio dijo, wise man said, nos pasamos la vida. We pass, or we kind of wait for stuff to happen in the life. And when we're waiting for stuff to happen, the only thing that happens is life.
Right.
So like you're waiting for shit to happen, Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Yeah.
It means, this one basically means if you don't jump on the ball and get rolling, man, time, and your life will pass and it'll just be a dream.
Exactly.
So act like in English maybe would be considered actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to that. So you could say and you could do and you could think, oh man, I want this to happen. But if you don't do anything and you can't wait for things to happen, you have to be proactive. You have to be able to move ahead. So yeah,
exactly.
That's a real good one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the fun one about this one, there's a few things that I like about this one.
Yeah,
it's kind of poetic, right? It's got like a pacing to it,
mm-hmm.
but it's got like un sabio dijo. A wise man said. I never heard that before until I started doing the research for this one. Mm-hmm. But un sabio dijo, I like that. It makes it's fun. But then the word pasar, right, is pasar. Sprinkled throughout, and it kind of has. And it kind of has a little bit of a different meaning in each situation. But like you're waiting for life to happen, but your mm-hmm. life is passing you by, and you're just not, and you're sitting there waiting for shit to happen to you. It's a bad way. It's a bad way to live life. But anyway, okay. So what else you got?
I got this one. This is a good one. It's ¿Me entiendes, Méndez, o no me explico, Federico?
That one's fun. I've heard that one. Yeah.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
¿Me entiendes, Méndez? Méndez is a name, right?
Last name, yeah.
Last name. Méndez. So ¿me entiendes, Méndez is like, do you understand me, Méndez, right?
Yeah,
Méndez. But it's fun because it's in Spanish and it rhymes, right? So Méndez is just dude in this case, I guess.
Yeah.
Me explico, Federico, right?
Federico.
I have problems with certain...
Federico, yeah.
Yeah, Federico, like the R next to consonants in certain situations. Anyway. So yeah, or do I need to explain myself, Federico, right? Freddy. So basically, yeah, do I make sense or do I need to explain myself?
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. So it's this you might heard like in like us like growing up, like in, I don't know in what movie it is, but it's like in those.
It was super common back in the day.
Yeah. It was. ¿Entiendes, Méndez? ¿Cómo me explico, Federico?
Yeah,
Basically, just do you understand what I'm saying or the message I'm trying to give? Or do I need to re-explain it again?
Bro, that one threw me back in time, bro.
Back to the 90s?
Yeah, bro. It threw me back right up when I was 18 in the hood, bro. Because, I mean... Shit, that one is one of those that was used like fucking, like you heard it all the time.
Yes. It was very,
it was very common.
Yeah. You would hear it like in movies and things like that, like in Pachuco, whatever movies. So that was, I still remember those, that saying. So that one popped up too while I was doing research. But there's hundreds of websites out there. You could go and you could, not websites, but actually probably hundreds too. But it's more if you just type in refranes and you get a whole list of them. So the one that I got had I think 5 or 6 pages, and there were like over 100 of them. Yeah, and you would go scroll through them. And
dude, I found some on YouTube and stuff, and I was gonna there were some good ones that I didn't get to write down, but dude, this is a giant well of awesomeness, man, because I used to love this shit,
Yeah.
I started paying attention to it, and I was like, damn, so I started looking for books, and I only found one book back in the day, and I found it at the Mexican Fine Arts Museum, and it was like a children's book, and it was all these dichos in it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was I don't know where that book went. I wish I still had it, but
well, let's go back to the Mexican Fine Arts.
Yeah, right.
It's still in there.
Yeah,
dust it off, open it up. Edgar. Yeah. No, sorry.
It's okay.
You have to take that off. Is right here. Oh, wait a minute. Here's your book, man.
So, but yeah, no, dude, that shit was. So, in terms of the reason I brought that up was because you can go on YouTube, you can go on fucking on the internet and find ones that you've never even heard of, and it's what the hell?
You're trying to figure it out, what does it mean?
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, I don't understand this one. Oh, yeah, that one probably just like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Back and forth. You could be in your mind, maybe it means this, maybe it means that. What does it mean? Yeah. You're trying to get the message out, So
I think the other thing too is when you're passing these on, when you throw them out, someone says something and you throw you throw it out, and they turn around and just like, what does that mean? You know, it's not only something kind of cool to say, but it's also like it gives you an opportunity to kind of explain.
Yes,
you know,
you get to pause.
You have to pause, and then you think about the phrase, you interpret the meaning, and then it's like,
where's the knowledge? Like knowledge is coming, you know, trying to give a message. Like, it's kind of like protection, like guard. Yeah. Like guard yourself, you know, like be careful with this because then this could happen. Yeah. Like that sort of thing, which is kind of cool, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of these, they have a warning, right? Or they teach a message. But it's just interesting. Like I'm trying to remember, because I mean, especially like growing up, my parents owned the grocery store, and these things would pop up here and there, you know? And then some of them are funny and make a person laugh because there's truth in it, you know? But also like that moment, like in the store, especially for me, I remember carrying a box, something happened, and my mom or somebody or a client, a customer or somebody would say something like, oh, boom, they throw that out. Oh, I'm like, oh, you know, and I'll be holding like a banana box or something. And I'll be like, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, it means this and this. And then you're like, oh. Or you'd be like, ah, ha, 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 and then you move on with your day, right? Yeah. But it was just crazy to... I just feel like sometimes I've taken those moments for granted, you know? And this like just having this conversation with you and talking about these things, it's like unlocking a bunch of shit. But anyway, go ahead. I think it's my turn. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, I like this one. Las personas no cambian con el tiempo. El tiempo te muestra lo que en realidad son.
So basically, the truth always comes out.
Yeah.
Basically, I think time. That means, right. So over time, even if you try to mask or try to cover, you know, the truth always comes up. The type of person you are going to be later down the line. Like, there's no way to hide it. There's no way to, and that actually rings true to a lot of people. I think that's what it means. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah?
It's with time you'll find out who the person really is, because it says one of the things about this phrase is las personas no cambian, like the person doesn't change with time. Right. It's just that time reveals who that person really is. Yes. You know.
Yeah. So it's like you can cover who you really is too. Like you could also interpret it that way. Like like eventually, you know, your true person will come out whether you like it or not, you know. Yeah. And you could interpret that in a good way too, or you know, cover, you know, you can't change like a bad apple maybe. Is what it
or
means.
It could be positive. Like maybe you realize, wow, this person really is a good person, you know. So, but like with time, you'll see. Yeah. The time, all that stuff will be revealed.
You'll find out.
You'll find out. You'll find out eventually what kind of person that guy is, or a girl or whoever. Yeah. Okay, so it's your turn.
Yeah, I got this one. This is pretty. I have a hope, man. I had a list of them. I have some extra ones, but this one basically is al mal tiempo, buena cara. So basically, during bad times, good face. Put a good face. So that was kind of.
So that one's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Mal tiempo, buena cara. So like, just put on a good face. Grin and bear it is kind of what it is. Like, it's rough, but you smile through it.
Yeah. So fight through, you know, the rough times, you know, go through it. Eventually, you know, it's going to get better. Yeah. Like it's buena cara. Put a good front, hold your head up, push forward.
Push forward. Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's good. It's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, that was simple, and it's, you know, a good message, you know, especially for those people that are having a hard time with anything, you know, with their life. You know, make sure that you put your head up and push forward, and, you know, keep smiling. Put a good face on.
So
game face.
I got one related to that one. Another one of un sabio dijo. Un sabio dijo, fingimos sonrisas para ahorrarnos preguntas. So it's similar.
So the translation?
So, un sabio dijo, a wise man said, fingimos sonrisas para, so
faking smiles?
We fake smiles so that we save ourselves from questions. Para ahorrarnos preguntas. I don't know if ahorrarnos...
Ahorrar means like save. Like,
save.
Like stop asking me questions about...
Exactly.
So maybe it's kind of similar to this one. Yeah, you're right. I think it's like putting game face on and pushing forward and just, plowing through, I guess, certain things because you're trying to avoid any kind of unnecessary delays or questions or anything that's going to hold you back. So just keep on going. I mean, you could translate it that way.
Yeah, that's how I took it. I took it like you fake the smile so that people don't ask you stuff, so that you don't have to drudge up the negativity of whatever thing is bothering you right now.
Right. So your positive light is pushing forward through whatever you're doing, and you don't have to be there, explaining and doing this. Or it could also mean, man, push hard, work hard. And don't worry about the details. Yeah. Like details could be all the preguntas and all this. Yeah. And that.
Oh, and that's true too. Yeah. Right.
You could look at it that way.
Yeah. Because the questions in this scenario is kind of looked down upon, right? Mm-hmm. And only because so something about this phrase, you don't want the questions, right? So you put on your game face, or you smile, so you don't have to go through the questions. Because the questions is doing one of two things. It's either slowing you down, like you're saying, or it's drudging up negative thoughts that you don't want to think about, which will also slow you down, right? Yes. So
nothing good comes out of that.
Nothing good comes out of that.
Out of thinking negative or about making yourself roadblocks or somebody blocking you off still, but you have to push forward. Yeah.
So the best thing is to put on a smiling face and avoid the questions.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
That's a good one. A good one.
Next.
Okay. I have one connected to the one that you talked about, the dog.
Yeah, go for it.
It says, con dinero baila el perro. Con dinero baila el perro. That's simple. Con dinero baila el perro. So with money,
the dog dances.
Con dinero baila el perro.
Yeah. Which is funny because...
This is interesting, though. So what do you think it means? See, look. Okay, con dinero baila el perro. With money, right? The dog will dance.
The dog will dance.
What does that mean?
So first off, before I dive into it, I find it real interesting that this refrán has the dancing dog in it because perrear right now is super hot in terms of like modismos, like slang, because perrear means to dance. And you hear it all the time in reggaeton. Like, it's like, what is this? Like, because I hear perrear and I'm thinking dog, right? Like you're dogging, like you're going after girls for sex, right? But
maybe that's what it means, no? Or no?
No,
I don't know.
I looked it up. Yeah. I had to look it up because I'm like, what is this word? Because it sounds foul, Right. At least from my perspective.
The way you heard it.
The way I understand it, because dogging in English... Like if you're being a dog, it's because you're just after a girl for you're a hoe. Yeah. You're a man hoe.
You're a man hoe. You like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Perrear isn't that, but perrear is to dance, from my understanding.
Okay, and again, it's probably culturally like, I don't know, Dominicanos maybe they
the Caribbean, like Puerto Ricans and all those everybody but Mexico.
Everyone in Mexico means we have to revolve. It's just totally different. Interpret it. Yeah.
So the phrase is un perro baila con dinero.
Con dinero baila el perro.
Oh, con dinero. Okay, so
con dinero, with money, the
dog dances. It's important because I switched it around. It makes it different.
Yeah.
So con dinero, with money, the dog will dance. Okay, so I'm going to take it with the intent or the idea that perro is probably... I like this one. This one's complicated.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
And it's short.
It's short, but it's very deep because I'm having trouble.
Yeah.
All right, so el perro, being a lowly creature, from my understanding, just in general, for the way that maybe Mexicans might look at a dog, or in this context, I'm assuming it's negative. Some Mexicans.
Not a Milan guy. We were talking about that guy. Cesar Milan.
Cesar Milan.
He thinks about, there's like hierarchy. But some Mexicans are like,
well, I mean...
I'm sorry, man. It's true. I grew up you don't got to go that far.
Yeah.
A dog in some areas, if you go to the country, even here, a dog's a dog. So his job is to protect the chickens.
Exactly.
Take, from, predators, and also protect your home like a guard dog.
Yeah.
And if you go to the city, I mean, they treat them like better than a human being.
Yeah, it's funny.
So it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's just the way. Culturally, it's very different.
Yeah.
But anyway, because I mean, growing up, that's how they were treated. They were treated like guard dogs.
Yeah.
They weren't like the family member.
No,
they
were like,
they don't get a seat at the table.
Right.
Yeah,
They're outside in the cold in the winter. Hopefully not here.
Yeah.
But down south, they were outside all the time. They would come back all, because like my grandma's ranch, they would come back all, full of spines with, they got into some animals and they got into some fights, all cut up and beat up, and then they would get better. And they were like, they would go for days and days.
Yeah.
They would say, no, pues ese perro, that dog is over there, humping, it's heat season, so
wow.
the dogs would come back.
So she she understood that and respected it.
Well, it was a dog thing, and you didn't want that to happen. Like, they did some really mean things to dogs. We were talking about it. I know that if a dog got into chickens, like if he tasted blood, that dog was dead, because they couldn't trust that dog anymore because he tasted the blood, chickens.
Yeah.
So he would always want to go back to that. So they would kill those dogs. If they got into, that sort of thing.
That's interesting.
Or if they got into, so...
Iguanas are similar in that respect. Like, if an iguana, like, for whatever reason, tasted blood, they get nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't get it. My understanding, and I don't know if this is, like, hearsay or just nonsense or a lie, but from my understanding, like, you give an iguana blood or meat, it's not going to go back to eating whatever it was eating before.
Really?
Yeah, it will fucking want to eat you.
Really?
It gets really dangerous.
Like a Komodo dragon.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta be careful with certain lizards. But anyway, like, okay. So my thinking is
you haven't responded to.
I haven't gotten it. I haven't yet. No, because we went off on a tangent.
Yeah,
but I want to get to this. I want to define it because this one's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So a dog. So with money, the dog will dance. I'm saying, since the dog is probably like not looked upon favorably, probably in this situation, the dog, it's like saying the scumbag. It's like saying the scumbag will dance. The scumbag will have a good time with money, So, like, it's almost like saying, like, you can't give a scumbag money because they're just going to party. Am I right?
You know what? I don't think you are, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But again.
No, tell me, because I don't know. You got me.
Again, these are how you interpret it. So I don't think there is like a wrong answer, but
there is a wrong answer, because I don't feel that one's right. But tell me what you got.
Okay, so I guess what's the message you think that is trying to,
Well, that money's important.
Right. Which it is. So basically, I didn't come up with this one.
Okay.
This one I found it, but what it said is it's fairly simple. Everyone has a price. So it says con dinero baila el perro. So basically, yes. So some are right. So everyone has a price.
Yeah, everyone has a price.
Right. So I think you were looking at way too deep with the dog situation.
I got lost in the dog. Yeah.
Well, maybe but it was more like everyone has a price. Why? Because con dinero baila el perro. So if you, I'm not gonna do it, but if you give that person enough incentive or enough whatever you want to replace it with,
he's gonna do it.
So everyone's got a price.
Yeah. And a dog doesn't usually dance. So, but you give him money, he's gonna dance.
He's gonna dance. He'll do it. He'll do it with the right amount of money.
Cash. Yeah. Everybody has a price. No, that's perfect. That's a perfect definition. That was good, bro. I like that one. Right? Yeah, I like that one.
And it was short.
Yeah.
I put a little asterisk on it. I got the ones that are kind of cool. Like, this is a good one.
Yeah, that one's a good one. No, that one was great.
I put an asterisk on Camarón, que se duerme, lleva la corriente, because I heard that one a lot. And then the other one was, I got another one with the asterisk. I got two more, I think.
Okay,
like that, similar.
We got about 20 minutes here.
Okay.
So I got. Okay, so this one's fun. Al borracho o mujeriego. Mujeriego.
Playa.
Yeah, playa. No fiéis la bolsa del dinero. So,
okay.
So, I butchered that one.
Fies is, or fiar is to,
Fiar, it's
to loan. So
don't
like loan money.
not only loan, but to like confiar, like you don't.
Oh yeah,
you don't
because you're giving
trust
money.
in him.
Right, exactly.
You don't trust him with the. So anyway, so I'm not gonna say it again because I had a hard time saying it.
Say it again.
Yeah. Al borracho o mujeriego,
right.
No fies la bolsa del dinero. So to the drunkard or the womanizer, you do not trust the bag of money too.
Right.
So that's kind of a literal translation there. So what do you think?
Yeah, you said the answer while you were. Yeah, I think you did. So,
but what do you like? Expound on it.
So it means you can't trust a player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't trust a mujeriego is
a player,
right?
Yeah.
And a
womanizer
drunkard and somebody that's drunk, you can't trust, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you can't trust, people that are. How can I say? People that are not making the right choices, like people that are, don't trust somebody with whatever you think is valuable. In this case, it's, a bag of money or a bag of something, or it can also be translated into like your emotions or getting into a relationship, or you could go even literal. Don't get into a car with a drunk that's, driving the car, right? Because you're going to get yourself killed.
Yeah.
Don't hook up with, somebody that's got, 2 or 3 other girls or 2 or 3 other guys or whatever the case may be, because you can't trust that something good's going to happen.
I like how you took that.
Yeah.
I like how you took that, because instead of making it about dinero, you made it about dinero being something valuable.
Right.
So it's not about money necessarily for you in the meaning, which I don't think is wrong.
And that's what I'm saying. Even your other interpretation wasn't off either.
Yeah.
When you were mentioning, because these you could translate however you think is best to fit the situation, right?
Yeah. But I like that the fact that dinero is something valuable, so you don't trust. You don't trust your daughter with a womanizer, right?
Right.
Or you don't trust a drunk with your son, because you don't know if this drunk is going to have a bad influence on him or drive someplace and he's going to crash. That was interesting. The way I took it was because I've known drunkards or alcoholics, and I've known mujeriegos, like fucking. Why do I keep trying? Players. Thank you. I know, and I've known guys who are like legit players.
Yeah.
And these guys are always broke.
Well,
because they spend all their money on the thing that they're infatuated with. Like,
right.
They're
it's like a drug. It's just like a drug.
Yeah.
People, it's all it is. It's spending the time on that drug.
And that's why you don't lend them. That's why you don't trust them with the money. You don't trust them with the cash register at the store, because then these guys are gonna go drink, or they're gonna go spend money on the women. And it's funny too, because like I knew one cat, he was always broke, but he also like was always going out, but he wasn't always treating. Like there were situations where the girl was treating.
Yeah, he was very how can I say? He was crafty with.
He's very crafty.
Yeah.
But he was also always broke. And I'm like, dude. Like, how are you here asking for money again? Like, why are you always fucking broke?
Yeah,
like,
why are you going out without any money?
Yeah, like how are you doing it? And it's because like those cats especially, like they have to dress a certain way, look a certain way, go to certain places to like attract certain girls and whatever. That's like, so like that's how I took it. I took it literally, but I liked how you replace dinero with something of value. Yeah,
it could also be something simple. Okay, like if you don't trust your instinct or your gut, if you think that something's bad, in this case,
this guy makes bad choices.
So it could be the bad thing here, or the two thing is a drunkard and a womanizer or a player or whatever you want to call it. They're that could be like bad. So if you trust your gut, if something bad's gonna come out. It's not going to be good, because something bad's going to happen to you. In this case, the dinero or whatever you value.
Yeah. Just don't trust anybody who makes bad choices with things of value.
Right.
So, okay. So your turn.
Okay. So the other one so this one is, I've heard it also a lot growing up. So de tal palo, tal astilla.
Oh, I have that on my list too.
I knew that was going to pop up because that was very super common.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
tal palo, tal astilla.
De tal palo, tal astilla. So
Tal
basically, this stick right here, from this stick, this how do you say it?
Splinter.
Splinter. So es una estilla is a splinter. So so what does that mean?
So it's like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Yes,
is
exactly.
the one that would be very similar to that in English. So basically, like father, like son. You know.
So the definition that I got here was they're both cut from the same cloth, which is the same thing.
Oh, same thing.
So they're all the same thing. So
yeah.
And that you could say like, oh, he's just like his mother, or he's just like his father. You know, because they're exactly the same, and that comes in the behavior.
Yeah.
Right. So you might inherit, genetically, and some of the behaviors that you see, or you could just do it. You learned it from modeling. So the way that your mother or father react, if you live in a household that's extremely loud and noisy, like in my case, right? Sometimes
I think in all Latino houses,
where I live, I mean, I kind of stand out just a little bit,
Yeah.
So my neighbors are like, "What the hell's going on over there?" But he says, "Antonio, cierra la puerta, close the door, Antonio." And being that my son's more English dominant, because unfortunately we do nurture the Spanish, and he understands way more than
he speaks,
and he's very proud of what he knows in Spanish. So if you go to a restaurant, in Downers Grove, there's a Mexican restaurant that we frequent sometimes, and he starts using his Spanish, and they get so impressed, and like he finds pride in it.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. But
it's
anyways,
a superpower, man. It's a superpower, bro.
I went on a tangent off it a little bit, but yeah. I mean, that's why this is fun. I mean, and we could, people, we could talk hours and hours and hours. There's so many out there, but again, it's just the messaging behind these that I guess is important. And again, like you mentioned, it's that pause and that reflection. And okay, so what does it mean? And I remember doing that as a kid, like asking, okay, so what does that mean? And sometimes I didn't walk away with the response, that I wanted or the understanding, I should say, and I just pushed it aside. Then I would hear it again. Yeah. And then when I got older, well, when you get older, things get a little clearer sometimes.
Well, the other thing too is like some of these smaller ones are a little easier to remember, right? Yeah. These long poetic ones, you don't hear too often, right? So like tal palo, tal astilla, of course I've heard it because it's small, it's short, it's very easily understood, right? Yeah. So it's
your turn, right?
Yeah, it's my turn. But like we got about 10 minutes. Okay. So let's
you want to wrap up and then do chit chat or do
I want to do one more.
Okay.
And I just want to end do you have one that you want to end with?
I have a whole bunch of them, but no, if you want
to, why don't you give me a good one? Give me your best one.
I think
we only got 10 minutes.
I gave you the first one was probably the best one because of what just happened recently with this young kid that I told you.
Yeah.
But let me see this one. Aún no tienes alas si quieres volar. So you still don't have wings, but you want to fly.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
I like that one. It's pretty easy. Like you don't have wings, but you want to fly. You don't have what you need to do something, yet you're still trying to do it.
Right. So I think that could be good and bad.
Yeah.
Right?
It means you need preparation. You're lacking something and you need to get that thing first. Right. I think it's kind of like saying you're putting the horse in front of, you're putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah. That wasn't a really good one, but still, it was still, or you could interpret it too. I mean, I was thinking, if you're looking at from the other side, like, man, you're not prepared, but you still want to still do it. Like, man, that's kind of like, but I think it's the other way, like you're saying. I think that's what the real meaning means.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it because it's saying two things. And in my perspective, the person who's trying to do the thing, even though he's not ready, that's cool, man. Because I mean, like, you know what? I had one in here. Yeah. That's like that, and I didn't write it down.
Dude, I got a whole bunch of them. Look. Al mal tiempo, buena cara, like we said. Okay. A caballo regalado no se lo ven los dientes. So
yes, yeah.
Don't look horse that's given to you, you don't check his teeth or
don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Exactly. So that's some are very like that.
Yeah.
A la fuerza ni los zapatos entran. So if you force, I don't care how hard you try, but you're not going to be able to put the shoes on. That was, that was like, you can't force something and get something, and it's very simple. If things are forced, they usually turn out wrong. You usually don't get things. Like if you try to do something too hard, it's bad, right?
Yeah. But hold on, I got one that I want to end on.
Yes.
So this is from Cantinflas.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now,
which is so those people that don't know who Cantinflas is, he's like a
Mexican old school,
like Charlie Chaplin, a little bit more modern.
Yeah, because he actually spoke.
Comedian. Yeah.
Comedian, actor, right?
Actor. Very famous.
Very famous. So he said, "Lo difícil lo hago de inmediato."
So the most difficult thing I do right away.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Lo imposible me tarda un poquito.
The impossible, it takes me a little longer.
Yeah.
It takes me a while. Yeah.
Lo imposible me tarda un poquito más. That's funny.
So you'll eventually, I get that. Well, the easy stuff I could do right away, but the more hard stuff is going to take me a little longer, but I'll still do it.
He says, lo difícil lo hago de inmediato. So like the hard stuff I do right away.
Right away.
Because he doesn't want to let that linger, from my impression. Like
So that means like putting a fire under you, like to move yourself to do something that's important and quick and do it right away and don't let time pass.
Well, not only that, but he says, so lo difícil lo hago de inmediato. So the hard stuff I do right away.
Yeah.
Because I can and I should, right? Like he's trying to prioritize the hard stuff and get that done real fast.
Right.
Lo imposible, the impossible, is just going to take me a little longer. So
that's not that important. The most important thing is to put a head forth.
Well,
you can't control what you could like. You can only control what's in front of you. That's important. And don't worry about the details.
No,
that's the way
what he's saying is that nothing's impossible.
Okay.
So the hard stuff I'll do right away because I can.
Yeah.
Because it needs that attention and I'll do it right away.
Yeah.
And plus it's a little easier. He's kind of what he's saying.
Okay.
The impossible is just going to take me a little longer. The impossible is the thing no one can do. You can't tell him he can't do something. Is what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying there's nothing I can't do.
Right.
It might be impossible for you.
Yeah, but I could do it.
But I can do it.
Yeah.
This is going to take me longer.
Yeah.
The hard stuff I get done right away.
Yeah.
But the impossible, it's going to take me a little longer. It's a little...
But I'm still going to do it.
I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a little cocky.
It is, which is good. I mean,
I like it.
It's still a good message.
Yeah, it's a good message. This is like, say, you got to be confident and don't be afraid of the impossible.
Yeah.
Like it's just
thanks, dude.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was kind of difficult but fun at the same time because you're trying to decipher how to say it and does it really mean this, and some might have multiple meanings, right?
Yeah.
So they might, and some people are listening to this podcast and they're saying, man, that's not even, man, you guys got it all wrong. This is what it means. You messed up, dude.
Yeah.
Bro. You're remotely not even close. You guys are making stuff
My
up.
cousins are probably going to be texting me after when this post.
Especially like the more older type, or maybe the people that actually, lived it or that understood it more. Like it's more of a more deep, meaningful, philosophical message.
Los viejitos, man, are going to be texting or messaging us and telling us, you got that shit all wrong. Bola de pendejos, no saben lo que están diciendo.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's good to do this. I mean, because when do you get to reflect on these, I mean, I remember these as a kid for the most part.
Yeah.
The ones that I started off first, were the more recent one.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like I told you about this kid that I had, and you hadn't even mentioned this to me. You hadn't even talked then. And I told him that. And I don't think he understood what I was trying to look, but amor de lejos, amor de pendejos. He was like, look at me like, what?
Like, and it wasn't because he didn't understand Spanish. He was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what does that mean? Yeah. But it's like a message. So yeah. But yeah, man, thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for coming on. And you said you have a YouTube channel now, right? I
have a YouTube channel, which I'll send to you so you can link it. I've always had it. But I posted one video of my project that I had to finish, and I gave myself a month to finish it.
Yeah.
But I haven't started yet, dude. So I don't even know how this. Now it's gonna turn into 2 months.
Okay.
You know, but I started my fireplace. I knocked down, like I was telling you earlier, and you know, I have to try to take care of more of the things, like you know, like you did work here on your house too. The same thing. I have to just get on top of it, and you know, some of the refranes, like, man, do it.
Yeah.
So I already bought the shiplap to do the front. I took the stones that are on the face and I pulled them out.
Yeah.
But as soon as I get that done, man, there's, like we all know, there's one project after another project after another
project. Just like Cantinflas said, bro. Lo imposible te va a tardar un poquito más.
That's right. I never done a fireplace, but you know, hey, it's just like doing siding, and I've done siding before, so it can't be that difficult.
There you go. There you go. All right. So thanks so much, Tony. I will make sure to put all your information on the description. And thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
All right. Thanks, buddy. That was good.
The music you're listening to is titled Brighter by Tape Machines, Lejeune, and MBHD Nick. You can find them over at Epidemic Sound. Make sure you use my referral link in the description. Now, before we go, I just want to let you know that if you're making a website and you're looking for a hosting service, Bluehost is the way to go. That's the perfect place for you to host your website. They're very dependable, and it's the service I use for theflowrollpodcast.com. Should you decide to go to Bluehost, make sure you use my referral link in the description. Now, if you like this nonsense and you want more, head on over to theflowrollpodcast.com. There you'll find a complete catalog of all our episodes and a store with t-shirts, mugs, etc. Also, you can find us on Instagram under the name The Flow Roll. You can also find my guest today, Tony Anaya, under the name Anaya LTR1. Now, don't worry, I have all these links and more on the description so you can find everything you need. You can also find me, Edgar OtraVez, at Instagram under the name Edgar OtraVez. Yeah, man, I love this. I love these little phrases, man. They it's like you're getting knowledge down from the ancients. So anyway, thank you so much, Tony, for being on the show today, man. It really was a good one, man. I enjoyed it a lot. I would love to do some more of these. I would love to kind of like crack open some more of these and kind of like go through them. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Flow Roll Podcast. Gracias por escuchar este episodio del Flow Roll Podcast. We will catch you next time. Take it easy. Hasta luego. Que se vayan por la sombrita. Stay out of trouble. Adiós.